Good morning. It is May 21st, and let's talk about Bitcoin. This is the Critical Point Podcast, and I am Rich Posson. Okay, so I have a weekly chart here of Bitcoin versus US dollar. And what I want to point out is a couple years ago, I read a 30-page report put out by a hedge fund saying Bitcoin was the greatest thing ever, and and that particular hedge fund was moving into investing and trading Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies basically. And I must say it was inspiring, but a couple days later I sat back and really didn't reread it, just kind of looked at a few points of view and thought about it a bit. And I reached a conclusion it could be a whole bunch of bullshit. Okay. Um, I'm not convinced there's a true fundamental story there, but it's building, it's evolving, and someday it probably will be there. I'm convinced it's here to stay. Will it replace the dollar someday? Maybe, but I think it may take much longer than what some people believe. It is an exchange, a medium of exchange, but I have not yet called it a currency because I've always felt currencies are related to or backed by a nation, a central bank, a treasury. And that's not the case with these cryptocurrencies, or at least not yet. We may see central banks or treasuries, whatever, regulate it, and that's good enough. Or they may even create their own and back it, maybe even take it over, those kind of things. But I increasingly am beginning to think I got to change my definition that a cryptocurrency is in fact a currency. I got to change the definition to include non-national currencies, okay, because people are using it. I'm more of a fan of the blockchain technology behind cryptocurrencies that's being used to track inventory and shipments of goods. In other words, other businesses are using it for a non-currency kind of mechanism, okay? And I agree with that, and I think there's some interesting possibilities there of building upon it. Nevertheless, I do understand these people talking, maybe someday Bitcoin's going to 100,000, but I also think we have to consider it can also drop 90%. And I think by the 2040s, late 2030s through 2040s, we probably are going to see a collapse in the stock market, economies, and this and that. I'm not convinced they'll be buying Bitcoin as a safe haven. It may well crash because I'm basically thinking everything's going to crash. We'll see. But in the meantime, I don't doubt that there's some bullish possibilities here in Bitcoin. And in last 3 years, I've noticed that the trading of Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis is evolving into the same patterns used in commodities in the stock market, meaning my model in the sense of just quantitative price fluctuation can actually track, follow, and forecast Bitcoin. So this means we're getting more and more business, more and more liquidity, but we're picking up on that human behavior such that it may not matter if the fundamentals are true or not, that they're going to trade it, and they're going to trade it with some kind of pattern. So here's what we've got. For those of you interested in trading Bitcoin, by the way, I am not invested or trading Bitcoin, probably won't. I have so many other things on my plate, and I'm more of a stock market kind of person anyways. I must say, or type of trader or investor, I should say, but if I do purchase, and I may, I'll probably make it a small purchase. I'm not going to look to become a multi-millionaire out of it, just because I do realize that I think the rug could be pulled out from under Bitcoin pricing at any time, even though it's probably here to stay. And yet, someday we may see cryptocurrencies as the number one currencies, paper currencies around the world just go away, and maybe the US dollar goes away. And I don't doubt the dollar is going to have increasing competition throughout the end of this century. Okay, so the forecast shows a level 1 top back in February. Okay, now level 1 is the most important kind of trend and buy-sell signal, top, bottom, reversal, okay? And it reflects I think, the more important, influential kind of traders, but it's really a basket of even very short-term traders, okay? So just assume the level 1 trader sold into a level 1 bottom in March, okay? And then the level 1 trader is buying, and the level 2 trader has been buying, but the level 2 trader who's willing to trade just a little more often than level 1 and can create the largest correction inside a level 1 trend so long as the level 1 is going to last more than a month. In fact, it really should last more than 2 months. then you'll see that level one trader make an impact. If the level one trend's very short term, are not going to last that long, the level two trader is just in line with level one. They'll sell at the same time, in other words. So anyway, what we have here is, I believe, a level two top occurred 2 weeks ago. We saw the drop. We're hearing of all this halving of some of these currencies or Bitcoin. But anyway, it looks like we're setting up a negative reversal this week. It's trending down. And the bottom line is we may have seen a level two bottom last week, which was early but ideal time. If it trades below that level two, it may continue to trade lower over the next 30 to 60 days. It could make a sizable retracement. We don't know how low it could go, but using the critical point move, it would probably come down into this old support level around 68.57 or so. Now, there is a possibility it's just going to put in a late level two bottom here next week or the following week. And it looks like this would be the latest for level two. So if it finds support on down to just a little bit below and then turns up, we'll have to consider the level two traders back buying, and maybe the level one trader is still in force, and maybe together they move it to a new high. There's nothing telling us it has to move to a new high. For you bulls, what you really needed was this level two high to be higher than this level one, and the model would say, wait a minute, that's not allowed, or it's allowed, but what it would say is it's a clue that it's going still higher for the next level one top that's probably out here in July and August. Okay? Now, it is interesting that the next level two and level one top due in July and August is a time when the stock market ought to be down. So there is a possibility they buy Bitcoin because of some bad fundamentals, bad news, and selling in the stock market. So there's an interesting setup there for bulls down the road, but right at the moment, it looks to me like Bitcoin's going to pull back at least into next week, maybe the following week, and maybe it's only an L3, less important kind of pullback because it's actually going higher later on. But what if it's a real deep setback into this level two? Then it goes higher, but maybe it doesn't go any higher than these prior lows by July, August. And then your real risk here is if it violates last week's low, is a possibility that last week's low was level two, and really the market's going to be down in July and August. You're not going to get that rally. The level one top coming is not going to work, that they're going to become more bearish. And why would that be? Is it possible they're going to sell along with the stock market and they don't like the news that's going on? Now, I have seen some interesting studies longer term that some believe Bitcoin can be a better hedge against inflation than gold, and I think that's a possibility. And I think you can get people excited to kind of support it. And what they're also basing this on is a chance that all this money printing is going to bring back inflation. And I will be talking in the future here, perhaps even this week. I'll create some podcasts discussing 20 to 40 year trends in inflation and disinflation, and how we're at a turning point here when we could start a super cycle of higher inflation, higher interest rates. I'm Rich Pawson. I hope this has been some help. Manage your risk relative to analysis of others and your own. Thank you.